I don't belong here. That's not a phrase that most kids will say out loud. But all too often, it's one that they all feel deep inside. Sometimes deep down to their bones. I don't belong here. Not in this school, not in this group, not in this family, not in this world. It starts quiet, like a whisper in the back of their mind. But over time, it gets louder and heavier. A little walks into a classroom and nobody talks to them. I don't belong here. They're the only one that didn't bring a gift to a birthday party. I don't belong here. Their lunch is different. Their shoes are worn. They don't know how to play a game that everyone else seems to know all the rules to by heart. I don't belong here. They go to school trying to smile through it. They try to be invisible. They stop raising their hand. They stop speaking up. They stop hoping. Because the moment a child starts to believe they don't belong, they start shrinking. Not because they want to, but because the world has shown them over and over again that maybe they're right. You don't belong here. And if you've ever felt that way, you know how isolating it is. It doesn't matter whether you're 8 or 38. That lie clings to your ribs and it wraps around your heart. I don't belong here. And that lie, it becomes the lens through which everything is seen. They don't try out for the team. They don't dream about college. They don't even imagine a future. Because they've been told by silence, by circumstance, by absence, you don't belong here. Now I want to tell you something personal. Because I didn't read about this in a report. I lived it. I came from a broken home. There was tension, confusion, chaos, a lot of things that a kid shouldn't have to navigate. That didn't happen when I practiced this, so sorry about that. There were days I dreaded coming home, and days I dreaded going to school. I felt like I was in the way, and every time I walked into a room, I asked myself the same question. Do I belong here? And all too often, that answer was no. So when my mom mentioned Big Brothers, Big Sisters to me, I thought, that's not for kids like me. That's for kids whose families have it together, for kids who don't have baggage. That's what I thought, because I already accepted it. I don't belong here. But someone I barely knew, saw something different in me. They believed I did belong, that I was worthy of being mentored, of being seen, of being heard. And that person, they changed my story. And I'll admit, I was skeptical, but my big, he showed up week after week. He didn't pry, he didn't push, he just showed up. And in a world that felt inconsistent, he was steady. There's power in that. The power of presence, of being believed in, even when you don't believe in yourself. And for the first time in a long time, I started to hear another voice. It wasn't loud at first, and it was new. Maybe I do belong here. Maybe I'm not too broken. Maybe someone like me does have a future. That's what Big Brothers, Big Sisters does. It takes a child standing at the edge of losing hope, and it pulls them back in. It says, you're not invisible, you're not a mistake, you are worth showing up for. It replaces that painful thought, I don't belong here, with something much more powerful. Yes, I do. Today I get to stand here on this stage because someone stood next to me and said with their actions, you belong. And now it's our turn to do that for the next generation. Maybe you won't see the change right away. And maybe they won't say thank you for years. But one day, you'll see a kid who walks a little taller, who takes up space without apologizing, and you'll know that you helped make that possible. Because you interrupted their "I don't belong here." Because the truth is, there are kids in our community right now feeling like outsiders in their own lives. They're walking through school hallways, sitting in rooms, playing on playgrounds, believing that they are too much, or not enough, or in the way. And if no one interrupts that narrative, they'll carry it into adulthood. And they'll choose smaller lives. They'll hide their potential, and they'll believe that lie, "I don't belong here," unless someone tells them the truth. You know, it's hard to explain just how heavy those words become. "I don't belong here." They echo in the quiet moments, and they sneak into your dreams. They whisper just loud enough to drown out your hope. I want you to imagine carrying that weight all day, every day. A weight that's invisible to everyone else. Because kids learn to hide it. They learn to pretend. They learn to smile through the pain. But inside, they're shrinking. Their light dimming a little more each day. And this is not about bad kids or bad choices. It's about kids who are unheard, unseen, and in some cases unwanted. Kids who have been told by circumstance, by silence, that they don't belong. There was a boy I met once. We'll call him Jacob. Jacob was 12, but he carried the weight of a man twice his age. His clothes were clean, but they were hand-me-downs. His shoes were small, worn on the soles. In his eyes, they held stories that he couldn't yet tell. At school, Jacob was quiet. He didn't raise his hand. He didn't join in the games at recess because he was sure that if he tried, someone would laugh or someone would tell him, "You don't belong here." One day, his big showed up with a basketball. No fanfare, no big words, just a ball and an invitation to play. And in that moment, Jacob belonged. It's in those small moments, the consistency of presence, that make all the difference. You don't have to fix everything. You do not have to have all the answers. You just have to show up. And when you do, you say, "I see you. I hear you. You belong." I want to share a little bit more about my journey, because it wasn't just about having a big show up. It's what he taught me. He showed me what it meant to believe in someone even when they didn't believe in themselves. He didn't try to erase my story or pretend that the hard parts didn't exist. He just stood beside me as I navigated through them. That kind of presence is powerful. He gave me courage to try again, to dream bigger, to imagine a life where I wasn't invisible. And here's something else to remember. When we lift up one child, we lift up their entire family, their siblings, their parents, their community. One match can be the start of a chain reaction, changing neighborhoods, changing futures. Because kids who feel they belong don't just survive, they thrive. They become leaders, mentors, and change makers. So I want to be real with you. Being a mentor or a donor is not always easy. It asks you to be patient and to be present, to believe when it's hard to believe. But the rewards, they're immeasurable. Imagine the smile you'll feel when a child you mentor graduates high school. When they call you to tell you that they're going to college. When they just call to say, "Thank you for never giving up on me." That's a legacy. That's impact. And we need more of you. Some of you might be thinking, well, what if I'm not enough? What if I'm too busy? What if I don't know how to help? So let me tell you this. Again, you don't need to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to care. Big Brothers Big Sisters provides the support, the training, and the resources to help you every step of the way. And the kids, they just need you to be consistent, to show up. And for those of you considering how to support financially, every dollar you give helps fund background checks, training, events, and dedicated support staff who make the matches possible and safe. Your generosity helps children in our community find the mentors they need. Kids like Jacob, who now have someone in their corner, someone who says, you belong. So let me leave you with this vision. A world where no child has to whisper, I don't belong here. Where every child walks into a room and knows they are seen. Where every child has the chance to be their full, brilliant self. Where belonging isn't a privilege, it's a right. And you are the ones to help make that possible. So let's make sure that the next time the child walks into a room, they don't whisper, I don't belong here. They stand tall and they say, yes, I do. Thank you.